technology isn't just changing the way we write papers and communicate, it is fundamentally rewiring the way our brains work. And that's even more true for the born digital crowd. We're going to show you the effects in a moment, but first we thought we'd challenge some millennials to unplug from all technology for 24 hours. Sounds easy, right? I mean, no big deal. It's a day. Well, YouTube comedian Brittany Louise Taylor took the pledge. Here's what happened.
Hey, it's Brittany, and I have decided to unplug for the next 24 hours. And what that means, guys, is I'm not going on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, no internet surfing for 24 hours, starting now. It's been half an hour, doing good, just eating some crackers. It has been 3 hours, and I'm not gonna lie, at first it was really hard, but I'm actually feeling more relaxed, which is good. And I think I'm gonna take a nap or read a book. Reading a book? Read that book. I'm gonna go for a walk. 3 hours, 45 minutes. And I haven't thought about how my video's doing or what my friends are doing on Instagram. No double tap, oh snap.
She pulled out 16 jars of jelly and I was like, where's Waldo?
Would you please hang up your phone?
Sweetheart.
Enjoy nature. Hello, hello.
I f***ing hate that bitch.
I'm having so much fun. Where's the little lizard? I don't want to do this anymore. Give me my phone.
No, sorry, you said 24 hours.
I don't care what I said. Give it to me.
But it's only been
Give me my
20.
phone.
But-
Give me my phone.
But-
Give me my phone. If you don't give me my phone, I'm going to take my hand and slap your face until you bleed. Oh, I have emails. Oh, I missed you. That's so cute. I love you, I love you, I love you. Are you a technology addict? Stay tuned for more on internet addiction.
Okay, so Brittany Louise Taylor is obviously hilarious, but the effects of tech on your brain are real, and it is no joke. And if you want to understand just how real, Dr. Gary Small is going to tell us. He co-authored a study called Your Brain on Google, and he's a professor of psychiatry at UCLA. Jacqueline Shearer is here. She is a senior at Iona College, and she has made her own discoveries after detoxing from tech by her own volition, mind you. And Professor Susan Muller is back with us. She challenges her own students to unplug from tech and media for a day each semester, and you would be shocked at the response she gets. But Dr. Small, let's start with you, because you have the scientific evidence that the internet actually does impact our brain. You studied people learning with a book versus the internet, and it varied the research that you found vis-a-vis whether or not they were web savvy. So what'd you find?
Well, we wanted to find out what the brain looks like the first time it searches online, and we weren't seeing much. It actually looked very quiet. But the big surprise was when we took people who had experience searching online, then the brain lit up. So what happens is our brains train. They get really good at searching online, and we're strengthening all these wires in the brain that make us tech savvy. What I'm concerned about is that other parts of the brain are weakening, particularly those parts that help us have a face-to-face conversation.
Well, that would be a concern. I want to show our audience what this looks like because it shows up pretty dramatically in fMRI scans. So look at the difference in activity. What exactly are we looking at? If you could explain that to us briefly, Dr. Small, to the not scientifically savvy audience.
So what we're seeing, the colored parts of the scan show where the brain's working. And the upper scans show the internet naive people. And on the left, you see them reading a book. On the right, they're searching online. Doesn't look much different. The bottom brains show you on the left what an internet savvy brain looks like when it reads a book. But then when that internet savvy brain starts searching online, it lights up. It gets really happy.
So that's the born digital crowd, and that is a happy brain that is better at multitasking and all sorts of things because they've been born digital. There is a drawback, and when you take those digital devices away, when you take tech away and media away, they go through withdrawal. Susan Moeller, you have some real life experience with that. What do you find when you tell your students to go without everything for a day?
They groan. They groan. You know, it's the least loved assignment I have. And we've given it both to students at the University of Maryland, but I've also authored a study that looked at students on 5 continents. And surprisingly, whether you're talking about a broadband environment or a really limited media environment, all the students responded this sort of the same way to going unplugged, which was not only did they hate it, but they reported all kinds of physical and emotional reactions to it.
I mean, they're dramatic. Some of them say things like, I felt dead, and I'm addicted. I mean, very dramatic. You, Jacqueline, do this by choice from time to time.
Yes.
Why is that, and what do you find when you do unplug?
Well, the most dramatic experience I've had with this was I went to Africa 2 years ago for a mission trip, and during that time we had very limited access to technology, and in the beginning it's very disorienting. You're not really sure what to do. You don't really know how to communicate with the other people around you because we're not used to communicating face to face anymore, and it's really challenging. And then towards 3 days in, maybe you kind of accept it and you're calming down a little bit, and you start to get a sense of calm without it. And we started journaling, and we were playing board games and card games, which is something that my generation, card games, we had to teach each other card games, so we had no idea. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a benefit to having tech, but also to not having tech. So how is technology really impacting the way this generation learns, Dr. Small?
Well, you know, I think they're not valuing the offline communication skills, and so we're training our brains to have this instant gratification from moment to moment. We have poor attention span. We want all the bells and whistles of our screens, and we're not getting the kinds of more in-depth emotional connections offline. So I think there's an adjustment in learning, but I think there's a tremendous loss, and we need a balance. We need to think, when is it best to learn something online, and when is it best to do it offline?
Jacqueline, how does it impact your learning? Because you have some good kind of stories about Facebook during finals, how it can be a problem, but also how it helps with your studying.
Yeah, definitely on Facebook you can make the groups with your classmates, and that really helps throughout the year studying, making groups and stuff like that for projects. But on the other hand, my freshman year during our finals week, we all changed each other's passwords on Facebook so that we couldn't go on, and there was weeping and gnashing of teeth, and it was miserable. But we stayed focused, and we all did really well in those finals, I have to say. And I think that Facebook really deterred from us from the rest of the year versus that 1 week where we were just focused without it, and we weren't trying to multitask, and we were just, you know, we weren't worried about checking Facebook or seeing what our friends were saying on Twitter and stuff like that. It really helps.
So it is like an addiction. You have to have your friend change the password and not tell you what it is so you can study. Do you find the same thing, Professor Moeller, that they really have to force themselves to unleash from that technology? And do you see the same kind of benefits that Jacqueline found after a couple weeks without it?
Well, you saw the comedy routine at the start of the segment, and actually it was all true. Surprisingly, my students reported out every single thing that she talked about, talking about going to the kitchen and idly reading cereal boxes, you know, going outside and maybe going for a run, but being really distressed that you could hear yourself breathe because you weren't listening, you weren't plugged into music. So I think students hated it, but like Jacqueline, they really did see some benefits of it. Students would report back several weeks later that, you know, the grades for an assignment or two that had been they've been working on at that period, you know, actually had improved.
So then what is your guys' best advice for the freshman class of 2017 or seniors that are graduating in terms of how they can maximize technology to get the most out of it and learn without becoming so addicted that they have these mal-effects and can't, you know, relate to other people or do really well in a face-to-face job interview? Dr.
I think
Small?
we have to help students learn the joys of living offline once in a while. When I go to college campuses, I have the students turn off their phones and do an exercise where one of them looks at another and the other one talks about something important to them. And They just maintain eye contact and they listen. And actually, some people start dating after that experience.
Well, I would
So
start dating someone if I gazed into their eyes for long enough. But let's get some final words from Jacqueline and Professor Moeller. Best advice.
Yeah, it's all about moderation. I mean, Facebook and Twitter, they're great resources. Like I said, you can communicate with your classmates, but when it comes down time to focus, you need to be able to disconnect. And if you're not able to disconnect, have a friend do it for you. Or there's even programs that will disconnect you from all social media for an extended period of time, and you cannot go on until that program lets you back on. So
there you
they're
go.
Really useful.
There you go. Last words, Professor Moeller.
I would just say, you know, set limits, but know your own limits. So if you think that you can manage in exam time an hour a day, set an hour a day, but then, you know, pull the plug.
Yeah, pull the plug once in a while, regardless. Thanks to all of you for your insight.
Yahoo!